Hey heroes, welcome back. Ez here, and I have a special guest with me. I've brought on Sarah O'Malley from Swish and Flick. How you doing?
Super. What if I didn't want people to know my full name?
Well, that's way too bad. It's out.
Yeah.
Do you guys not use your full names on the...
No, we do.
I was going to say.
Obviously, my whole name is all over social media.
Don't even start with
If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's O'Malley. So.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Oh, gosh.
No,
well,
I just like... the words I want to say I'm not allowed. So I just like being me. You know?
That's fine. I like that.
Poking fun.
No, it's good. I should... And you know what? I should have asked you before.
That's all right.
Even though I know your Instagram, like, and your handle and all that kind of stuff, I still should have, but...
That's all right.
Okay, cool.
I'll forgive you this one time.
So this is how it's going to go. Sarah's going to just, poke, jab, and just get after me there on any slip-up I make. So be ready. This is going to be a fun one. This is actually a non-spoiler review of The Eye of the World. Can I tell folks? You were with me probably, almost a year ago or something? Remember we went to the Half Price bookstore, and I said, I've got to start collecting these hardback editions.
Well, I think you already had started.
Yeah.
And there were more there. Let me start off by saying this. Neither one of us should have been at the Half Price books in the first place because neither one of us need to spend any more money on books.
No.
But we went to the Half Price books because there's only like 5 left in Ohio. There's not that many left.
Yeah.
And that one, there used to be 2 by me, but now there's just the one. So we went there. You bought a lot of those books. I bought a lot of Star Wars books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's right around when I bought the first book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it told me, I don't remember doing this, but I also got it on my phone, Kindle, like a Kindle book. So I got the Kindle version and a hard copy.
Yeah.
And the Kindle copy I bought May 2019.
Okay, gotcha.
But it actually helped me so I could read it while I was at work, which I'm not supposed to do. So I really wasn't reading at work.
No, but it did help.
Yeah.
So
allegedly.
Yeah, it would help if you were allowed. No, that's great. Yeah, because I remember being up there and I was like, we got to collect these, and I thought I was telling you, kind of trying to, give my what I call my Wheel of Time pitch. You got to get into this. This is good. It's solid. And then, how long ago was it when you started The Eye of the World, the first book?
So what's the date now?
Today's the 22nd.
22nd. So I started it like a month ago. I read it. I think I picked it up Memorial Day, and I was done within 2 weeks.
Done in 2 weeks. Yeah. Okay.
With the first book. I've started the second. I'm not that far into it yet.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's just get into, without talking, we're going to do a follow-up video to this. We're going to talk about spoilers and the characters and what we think, some of the cool aspects of it. But to those individuals who maybe haven't read it, right, and are should I get into Eye of the World, this Wheel of Time? Should I commit to this? The thing I think it's hard to say right now, is this worth committing to a 14-book series? You just know, we've read the first book. Like, what do you think about the first book? Was it good? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it?
So I will say this. So I come from the background of, obviously with Swish and Flick, I've read Harry Potter. That has been the biggest book of my life, I guess I would say. So, I obviously like the fantasy genre. And I tell myself I'm like an avid reader, but I'm really not as a grown up because I have no time. But when I started reading it, I didn't ever read like Lord of the Rings, but I've seen the movies, which sorry, I didn't read the books.
You should be.
I know. Fine. I tried to pick it up, but I can't. I'm also in school. I can't read and go to school at the same time because I can't focus on life because I get too invested in my books and I will let everything slide. But reading it was like almost all of these things mixed together because I like Star Wars. I like Lord of the Rings. Obviously, I like Harry Potter. So it's like all these things mixed together.
Right.
So this is going to sound mean, so I apologize to you.
Oh, boy.
But when I was if you don't know, he went to school with my sister-in-law. That's how I know Ezra. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to tell her name is Tiffany about the book. I was like, I don't know. It's hard to explain. You just got to read it. I'm like, I won't lie. Ezra tried to tell me what it was about. And I'm like, I don't know what he was talking about. I'm like, so I bought it and then I started reading it. And it's just a good book. And I said to her, because she started reading it, I'm like, it was one of the first books in a very long time, like maybe since Potter. But I also read Hunger Games came out afterwards, and that's a book series that grabbed me because it's like an easy read. But it grabbed me right away, from jump, like maybe first, second chapter in, I was like, shnikes. Like,
yeah.
And now we're like, did you watch The Tiger King?
No, I did not
Okay.
actually.
So when my friends are telling me, they're like, Sarah, every episode of The Tiger King, they're like, you don't think it's gonna get any crazier, and it does. Like, it just there's
Right.
some way that it just gets crazier. Not saying that's how this book is, but like each chapter, it's like something else happens, and you're like, what more can?
Right.
And then I'm like reading it, and I'm very much the type of person that I spoil everything for myself, which I do intentionally. So I'm trying not to do that with this series. So I'm not looking anything up, but I know there's a lot of books, and I'm like, what is gonna happen? I'm like, there's 14 of them. But I really, far more than I expected to, really enjoyed it.
So, I mean, I'm glad. I like the way you put that, though. Each chapter or in these segments, something new happens, and it keeps kind of pushing you. Like, what more could our characters go through? Like, come on. I mean, they've gone through this much in this short amount of time, and I think you're right. It's really, that's what drives you through it.
Yeah,
you're just sort of like,
it's
I
like
got it.
shocking moments. Happen. Like there's like what am I trying to say? Like, you know how you could be like watching a movie or any really book series, you know, there's the whole rise of action, then there's the climax, and then whatever.
Yeah.
So there's like almost moments that could be a climaxing moment that happened in like the first 5 chapters.
Yeah.
So like that could just in itself be a book series.
Right.
But it just keeps going.
Right.
Like there's just so much stuff. It was very good. It was a quick read. It's just good. Like, I'm excited yet nervous to get into the second book because there's already stuff happening, and I'm only 6 chapters in, and I'm already getting mad.
Yeah.
Not mad, but I'm like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. Did you feel okay? So when you got to, and again, we're not going to talk about spoilers, but like at the end of that book, what was the urge? I mean, did you feel? Obviously, I think the answer is yes to this. That urge to say, I got to keep going. I have to know more. I have to kind of like just jump right into the next book.
I bought the second book before I even finished the first one, so I knew because I didn't want to have to wait.
Yeah.
To have it, to read it.
Right.
So yeah.
Wow.
And
Okay.
I immediately was like, I need someone to talk to about this. So I had my sister-in-law read it because she was trying to figure out like a book series to read, and is Percy Jackson, is that a book series?
Yeah.
So she tried reading that, and like couldn't really grab her attention. So I was like, try this, you might really like it. And so far she loved it.
Okay, good. Cool. Yeah, the thing is too, I think finding people who have read the series or who are willing to start it. The problem is that you look at it, you say it's 14 books.
Yeah.
Like this is lots of big undertaking, but truly, I think when you get into it, especially like as you've seen with the first book, there's something that just there is no lull, and you just want to just fly through it. You're just like, this is good. And I will say it's not as heavy or as complex as like Game of Thrones or Tolkien's writings and stuff. It just, there are levels, there is complexity to it for sure, but it just I don't know, it seems to make sense. You have to kind of stick with it, and things that are slightly confusing, maybe in like the prologue or at the beginning, just there's enough repetition that it just keeps, it starts to sink in. Okay, that guy, I need to remember that guy's name and what he's all about. Yeah. So
Yeah, like I know I had read, so this is terrible. I typically don't always read the prologues to books, especially if they have Roman numerals as their number pages.
okay.
Which is, I'm sure, terrible because they're there for a reason.
They
but I'm
are.
like, ugh, I don't care about the prologue. But I did read the prologue to this because it was numbered. And I remember like maybe halfway or like a little bit more further through the book, I was like, oh, yeah. So they're bringing it back, like what they were talking about in the prologue, because it almost seems like it's just a history lesson and you're like, all right, whatever.
Right.
But then it comes back.
Right.
It's like
So,
it just...
yeah.
It just it just makes sense.
Don't
like,
skip it.
Don't skip it.
Yeah.
And I told that to Tiffany. I was like, you have to read the prologue.
Right.
It's important.
I think that's good too, because I think sometimes we read like the prologue and you think, okay, I mean, it doesn't make it like, sometimes you just plow through that and it's just, you just need to get through it. But some people will kind of like, I'm not going to pay that close attention and just read through it. Just read it, try to absorb it, and then know that it will be woven back into the story.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I also really like, and I don't know if every copy has this, but the glossary in the back.
Yeah.
I like keep going back to like read what I'm reading about. And also like, I know I'm reading it like obviously like to myself in my head, but I like to know how to pronounce the stuff. So I'm like, all right, I have to make sure like I'm pronouncing these things in my head correctly. So I love that.
Yeah,
It
it's
has
good.
little glossary and was telling me things that I was like, okay, I'm like, now I got to remember that. And
So
like,
as you would come across a new character, you would go look at how you pronounce that, and then you would come back and read it that way. Yeah.
sometimes, because I didn't want to like, if there was a new character, I didn't want to spoil anything, just in case a little glossary in the back. I don't think it really did anything.
Yeah.
Like spoil anything. It just kind of gave a little information. You know
About
what I mean?
the
It wasn't
yeah.
really spoiling, but I was like hyper vigilant because I didn't want to spoil anything for
Yeah.
myself, which is very uncommon for me.
But that's a good. To me, when I heard you say that, and then I heard about how quickly you got through the book, I was like, yeah, it reminded me of when I first read it, and I was like, yeah, that is exactly how I felt. I'm like, I didn't want to skip ahead. I wasn't like doing laundry when because I listened to the audiobook, and I was like, no, you got to be focused. I wanted to be focused, and I wanted to learn everything about the characters and what they were going through, because it was that like intoxicating. I was like, wow. So all right, cool, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
I really liked it a lot, much more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah.
So, and I'm glad, because like right now it's summer, so I don't have anything going on besides my own podcast.
Right.
So I'm like, this is the time to read something, and I can't tell you the last book I read and finished, besides Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that I think that's pretty neat. I mean, also you're excited. I know we talked about the show a little bit too, and how you want to I'm encouraging folks to at least get through like the first couple books just before the show, so you kind of have a better understanding of what's going on, and just I think it's neat to have read them beforehand if you can. Although I'm completely down for a lot of people who, when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, had never read the books, and that was their gateway into reading that. And I think that's great. So I'm really hoping a lot of people will see the show, come back to this even a year later, and say, "Yep, I'm in." Should I read that book? And yes,
yeah, that's how a lot of people, like Megan and Katie, who are both on Swish and Flick, they did not start reading the books until after they saw the first movie. Where I grew up with like my dad is like, that's his kind of thing. Like, he's very nerdy in that aspect, where both my parents are very big readers, but my dad likes the fantasy genre. So like, he got Harry Potter first and read the books, and then I tried to read the first one and then just couldn't get into it. And so the summer before the movie came out in 2001 is when I read the first 4. But like, he's the reason like I'm into Harry Potter, and I went to go see, like, he took me to see all the Lord of the Rings movies. Star Wars is very much like, he obviously grew up in the era where like the first couple of movies came out. So like, all of this stuff is because of him.
Yeah. That's cool.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, cool. All right. So final word here. This is worth.
Go read it.
Go reading.
Go read it.
All right, cool. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll be back with we're going to do spoiler. I'm very proud of you, but you didn't mention
I tried
a character's
to be real good.
name. You didn't do it, and that was good. That was solid, because Sarah likes to spoil things. I'm waiting for her. Even now, I'm giving her that last chance.
I will say, I'm very good, because I've had, when I was reading The Hunger Games, my cousin had read them first, and I was reading the first book, and I remember she had lived in Chicago at the time, and I think we were driving home, and she's in the car with me, and she tells me something about the second book, and it had to do with like a character that should have died in the first one, and I was like, dude. Yeah. And like, I wasn't mad, because like I spoil things, so like, and she didn't do it intentionally, so I was just laughing. She's like, oh, I'm so sorry, and I was like really, it's okay. But I tried genuinely, unless it's Harry Potter, because we're not spoiler free. I don't like to spoil things for other people.
Yeah, you just like to read what was it? You read the end of the book, the end of Deathly Hallows.
Yeah. So when
who does that?
Well, the worst part is, so like we went to the midnight premiere for the book. So we're at Barnes & Noble, I believe, is where we were getting it from. And my dad had pre-ordered it, so I was in a different line than my sister, her best friend, and a friend of mine I went to high school with. We were all together, so I was in a different line than they were. They were in the line just to pick it up and not pre-order it. So I got my book first. So I get my book, and I go back and meet them, and I read the epilogue while they're waiting in line to get their book. And I closed it, and then like I didn't fully grasp like what exactly I had read. Oh, no, I think I read the last page. That's what I did. I read the last page, the sentence first. And then I was like, oh, gotcha. And then I think I read the epilogue, still there. And then I went home. And I had to work at like 5 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Yeah.
And I read the first chapter or two. And then I had, for whatever reason, I had my mom take me to work that day. So the poor woman was up also at like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I had very little sleep. And not that she doesn't like Harry Potter, but she very much is not invested in it like I am and was then.
Right.
So she's like asking me about, she's like, did you start reading it? I go, I did. And so I told her about Snape. And she's like, I knew it.
Oh,
like,
boy.
Whatever, Mom.
Oh, boy. Oh, that's great. Well, all that to say, you didn't spoil this yet. And I'm expecting you to not go to the end of these books and do that. You're not going to do that, right?
Like read.
Yeah,
like,
you're not
spoil it
gonna,
for myself.
well, you're
no.
not.
So like, I will tell you what I did though with this one. I wanted
The Great Hunt, the one that you're in now.
No, the first one. It's the Eye of the World. I did.
Yeah.
I googled something for. Maybe I was looking for a summary of it because the book itself didn't have a summary on it. And I read like basically like what happens a little bit in it, like a little bit of the plot, and I was like, and then the entire book, I'm like, when is this going to happen?
So you stopped. So you okay.
Yeah, I stopped reading the thing, and it wasn't really like that much.
Yeah.
So it didn't ruin anything for me.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah,
but
that's cool because I mean, to me, Robert Jordan, like it is all about the journey. It's like the setup, and it's like these characters are going on an epic quest and a journey, and so you kind of want to experience what they experience as they experience it, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way it feels to me, and that's why I was always like, yeah, I'm not good. It's tough. You want to avoid going to the fandom because it's just hard to sift through things that aren't spoiler. It really is. So,
and especially like if you're only like halfway through, even like a series, say, or halfway through something and you go online, because there's going to be like fan fiction or just memes or whatever with any sort of thing, movies, shows, books. But it's all going to be spoilers and you're going to be like, I literally don't know what's going on. And then you're like, oh, I must have missed something. Like, or now I read something like a spoiler. And if you don't want to see that, and especially now because they came out 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah. So, all right. Well. This is cool. This is fun. I'm so happy you're reading it. Yeah, I really am. I have someone to talk to about it.
I won't lie. I'm a little sad that I didn't bring my book with me.
Do you need a book? Because I will go get you a book because I'm ready to go. So, all right, with that, hold on. What we're going to do, we're going to wrap this up here. This was our non-spoiler review. We will be back with a spoiler kind of discussion, I guess is what it'll be. We just want to kind of talk about the first book. And we'll kind of go from there. So thank you all for listening, watching, subscribing here on YouTube, liking the video, because you obviously did that, which is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, you had to like the video.
That's what people do. So, yeah, leave a comment down below. Let us know if you're going to read the book, if you're a new reader, if you're coming from the TV show in the future and Sarah has convinced you to read the book. Well, go Sarah. Team Sarah, I say, right? I always say that just so they bring me back on Swish and Flick.
We'll see.
Well, we'll see. All right. Well, friends, thanks so much. And remember that the grave is no bar to our call.